All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our first funding talks session. Today, we are joined by two amazing investors from Startup Wise Guys and StartupYard. So I'll invite them to the stage in a few minutes to join us for the live panel discussion. Today, we'll be talking about the first step most startups take when looking for external advice and financing, which is the accelerators. So I'm really happy that we have the amazing speakers joining us here today. Couple of ground settings before we continue. I'll quickly share a bit more about our community in just a few seconds, but I wanted to send your attention to the networking lounge that will actually happen after the event. So we'll kick things off with a panel discussion, and then afterwards there will be the networking and your possibility to meet with 4 investors. We'll have 2 members from Startup Wise Guys and 2 from StartupYard, so you can then actually sit down to one of the networking tables with them and ask them questions. So I'll be looking at the questions. You can send them in chat here. If you have any issues, please feel free to ping me there. And there's also a tab if you have any questions in the meantime for when we have the panel, but you can then ask yourself anything that comes up. All right. So before I invite the speakers to the stage, let me tell you a bit more about Checker and Shine. We started about a year and a half ago, and the mission of our community is to connect the upcoming founders with the seasoned entrepreneurs and make sure that the community is helping each other and growing together. We have a lot of different activities, from online and offline events, newsletter, different internship programs, our community. We have a blog where we do interviews with with our mentors and with different entrepreneurs. And we also organize the biggest founder meetup in Czech Republic, and we are planning to launch an accelerator, a startup school after the new year as well. Couple of a bit more details about our events. Our events are mostly focused around education, inspiration, and networking. I believe that today we'll tick off all the 3 boxes. So I'm really happy that that more people are still joining. I quickly wanted to mention our mentors as well, because we're working with amazing experts from all of these different companies that you can see on a screen and many more. So if you actually go to our website, which I'll show you in a few seconds, you can get directly in touch with the mentors there, choose the type of mentor you're looking for, and get some wisdom from them. So I encourage you to do so. I would also like to highlight our startup community group on Facebook, because we have reached over 1,000 members, and it really is a safe space for anyone to join us there, ask questions, and we share a lot of helpful resources, different stories, startup events, deadlines for competitions and accelerators, etc., etc. So a lot of stuff is happening there. All of our activities, all of our programs, all of our events are on our website. So make sure to check it out if you're looking for the one source of information to guide you through all of our activities. And yeah, I would love to invite to stage our speakers. So I am sending them the invitation right now, and we'll go ahead and get started with the panel. Let's see. Amazing. Perfect. All right, let's get started. So welcome, Alexandra, and welcome, Cedric. I'm really happy to have you both here. Let's start by introducing yourself. So Alexandra, why don't you go ahead and kick things off?
Thank you for your invitation. I'm happy to be here. I work with Startup Wise Guys for almost 3 years right now. It's not that long, probably, but 1 year for 10, so it feels like forever. I was working with startups before as well, so in total, probably in the industry around 5-6 years, something. So far, I think I have a nice story of joining Wise Guys, which I might share at some point when drinking with you guys somewhere in this world. But one important thing is that even though I was really, really happy with my previous job, I was invited to join Wise Guys, and it so happened that randomly I met not many, but several of my future colleagues in different events with no even reasons to meet them, just super randomly. And I kind of felt so much, they were such a nice people, lovely, so that I couldn't resist the invitation to join the team as well, because I made the decision made based on some personal attractiveness of the feeling. How good is it to talk with them, to meet them, and like I like them. So yeah, and since then, working in Wise Guys mainly as managing director of the programs, of the batches, scouting startups, evaluating them, and then bringing them to life through the programs that we have.
Thank you so much, and we're super happy to have you here. So thank you for the introduction. Cedric, why don't you give us a quick intro as well?
Thank you, Clara. Thanks for having me as well. So about myself, I have been a tech entrepreneur for the past 24 years. I'm part of the first generation of tech entrepreneurs. And for the past 7 years, I'm running StartupYard, the accelerator. So I've taken all my experience and my knowledge. You know, I sold my first company. I saved 2 companies from going bankrupt. I failed 2 companies as well. So I have quite a lot of awards and scars, which I'm bringing with me to the experience that is StartupYard. On top of that, I'm also the co-president of the French Tech in Prague. French Tech is a global network of the French startup community, and we have the French, label chapter. And I also advise the French government on the issue of innovation and technology, and I have a few other things that I do. But what I really like to do is work with the startups and the founders and the technology and the business. But so I've been doing the StartupYard story adventure for 7 years now, out of the 10 years that StartupYard exists.
Thank you so much. And I'll actually start already with another question. Could you tell us, Cedric, a bit more about the history of StartupYard? How did you start? What was your motivation?
So, I'm not one of the initial founder of StartupYard. So StartupYard will celebrate its 10 years anniversary in a few months. It was founded by a couple of 3 actually Czech entrepreneurs. And it was very Czech, very, very focused on the Czech market. Myself, I was a mentor there because I was already, obviously, as I mentioned, in this industry for some time. And after the second batch, I was approached by the board, and they asked me if I was interested to take it to the next step, to make it a bit more international. And I thought that was an interesting idea, intriguing idea. And for someone who loves technology and loves entrepreneurship, it's a kind of a good combination, because then I can work on multiple at the same time rather than just one. So it kind of felt very, very natural, and the motivation was really oh, well, I think I can help. I think I know a few things that might be useful for those guys.
Absolutely. And how many startups did you accelerate over the
StartupYard in total? We have now 79. So myself, we have to remove 12 of those, I think. So I'll let you figure it out. I don't count. It doesn't matter how many. What matters is, how good they do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. And Alexandra, how do you accelerate projects as Wise Guys? Can you tell me a bit more about the history there?
Yes. So we're slightly younger. We started in 2012. So it's 9 years, almost 9 years soon. It's 8 now. Initially started from Estonia. as a desire to give back to the society by entrepreneurs who were involved with Skype. And then kind of as a large exit, there was a lot of energy and there was a lot of knowledge, and people who actually wanted to give back to the society and like to help your early stage startups as well to grow and to go big and to go international as well. Since we started, I think it's I think we at Wise Guys have kind of two historical, like one important like change point in the history. So during the first 4 years, we had around one batch per year, and then starting from 2001, 2 batches per year, and then started from 2016, so it's like 4 years ago, we started growing fast. We had the new partner in Wise Guys who joined like 4 years ago, or now CEO. And we started the expansion and just growth way more comparing to how it was before in the early years. And so far, we are right now running in 4 countries physically. Of course, like physically when there's no restrictions, but
right.
Hopefully physically. So now we're operating in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And we opened Italy just recently as a new market for us with the running physical programs there. We have the programs in Balkans and in Eastern Europe as well. So far, we have 200 portfolio companies, and we're investing in around, so having 3 to 4 to 5 batches per year, we're investing in around 40 companies per year, 40, 50 companies per year.
Wow, that's a lot, and that sounds amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, starting from the top, I'm a startup. I want to find my next step, what I'm going to be doing. I want to learn. I want to find funding. Alexandra, can you tell me how can I, as a founder, prepare myself for the application to Wise Guys? You know, how can I really make the most of it?
I think it's actually, I honestly think it's pretty simple, but there's like not that many people that are using this simplicity. The only thing to do is to be really well prepared. So you have to invest time into doing your homework of researching where do you actually want to apply. So if this accelerator is the right fit for you, because obviously all of us have different focuses. For example, we are only B2B focused accelerator. We are not working with B2C companies, and we do with a lot of B2C applications, so that people just don't even try to make their homework. Second, yes, and then it's probably for everyone. Second, really easy step to actually invest time in the proper application. So, like to put like the relevant information, to fill it, to answer the questions that you were asked. It's not really a good choice to have some, jokes about, is this question really relevant to you or something? So to actually invest time, because this is the first impression that the startup can make on the investor. Of course, there is always a great option to be introduced by somebody who. But if it is a qualification, to do your homework and to make the most out of the application, so that it shows that you are interested, you have execution, you can execute, so you have achievements, and that you really, really have good ambition and very clear steps on that you actually want to grow and want to build a good business.
Absolutely. And to your point with B2B and B2C, reading the website properly is like the first step. They should definitely not skip. Absolutely. And Cedric, can you tell me a bit more? What does the selection process look like in StartupYard?
Sure. What's important to understand in that selection is that unlike other investors up the value chain, we have mostly no data to rely on to make our decision. There's no, 3 years revenue or, things like that. There's very often some prototype or some early product. So the decision process is much more empirical than extremely analytical based because of that. So you have to, on our side, we have to ask ourselves a few questions. So basically, it's an interview. It's a series of interviews. Of course, there's an application form, and as Alexandra said, make a little effort answering the application, or don't if you don't want to talk to you, but then don't bother at all. But ultimately, if the application is good, we will talk together. We will spend some time talking. So it's very empirical. We ask a question like, do we want to put that person in front of our mentors? Do we want to put that person in front of corporate potential customers? Do we want to put that person in front of investors? Do they seem trustworthy? Do they believe in what they do? Do they care? Why are they doing it? That's one of the questions. Why do you bother doing this instead of every single other option that you could have, right? So we try to get into the brain of those people, into their emotions. It's really like, how do you hire someone? It's how do you hire a head of sales? It's you speak to that person, you try to get an impression, and sometimes mostly you get it right after a few years doing it. Sometimes you get it wrong. So the process for us, I always say to the candidates, don't prepare anything for our chat. We're going to have a conversation. I'm going to try to understand the problem you are solving, who you think your customers are, how do you think you can make money from the solution you have, how unique is it, and just convince me, sell it to me. So it's a sales call. You're going to have to sell it to me, and if I buy it, and if it's not just me, I have a committee who chooses with me, but sell it to us, and we know what we're looking for, and we will only invite you if we think we can help you as well. I see a lot of projects like, I look at them and I really like what they do, but I don't see how we can help you because they're B2C and we do B2B, just like Alexandra was saying, or because we have like gaming companies, early companies, and we don't have a strong network in gaming. So I would rather say to them, go to a gaming accelerator, for example. So it's really about the ambition of what you, first of all, it's what you do. Do we care about what you're doing? But then it's your ambition, and really then we take it from there, and we try to help you as much as possible.
Absolutely.
If I may add just a small thing here, is that I at least in my opinion, accelerators as a class of investors, I think we care a lot about, compared to other investors, let's say, more about coachability as it is for startups, because the whole idea of the accelerator is not only to give money, but to give the knowledge. And it is extremely important to understand as early as possible if a person can accept that knowledge and can process it, and to make a decision even if this is something that they would follow or not. And what we are also trying to do is we are really trying to be as much straightforward as possible during the selection calls. Of course, we also have, as Cedric mentioned, also like a series of calls, obviously, to get the best picture possible during these calls. And we do try to to put some sharp questions that would compromise a company founder, maybe to criticize that, saying that, okay, do you really think that it makes sense what you're doing or something? Right. The questions could be super different, of course, but it's important. One thing that I would offer startups to keep in mind is that they always been watched. So whatever question they receive, there is a bunch of things that we observe. How do they react? What exactly they say? And like, how do they even accept the information?
Absolutely. And I really like what you said about being coachable, because a lot of startups either might apply just to try it out, right? And I think especially on the beginning, you need to test and fail as many possible routes as possible, right? To make sure that you really get to product market fit as as fast as you can. And if the startup isn't coachable and you basically have to babysit them through the program and they don't learn, they don't process the information like you said, then it's not really helpful for them either, right? So I think the ability to have strong beliefs but being able to pivot fast, I think that was one of the quotes I heard, is extremely important.
One of the things I often say is that I love when applicants tell me that they don't know when I ask them a question and that they want to learn it. One of the red flags for us is this kind of attitude, like I know everything, I'm the best. How much money are you giving me? This kind of attitude. I see we're talking to the same people, Alexandra. But it's that's really some very, very big red flag for us.
Absolutely.
What super small thing, this is like a painful question. I also really honestly believe that if the person this attitude that I know everything attitude, it honestly doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that the startup will not succeed. It is not bad. So maybe the person actually knows everything, and this is a great expert, which means that they might actually succeed and build a great business. But it's just not a fit with the learning process. So it's not a fit with us, not a fit with the acceleration program. They might just take money from an investor and just go and build stuff.
Absolutely. I have another question for Cedric, and that is, how much of my work as a founder do I need to delegate when I'm applying to the program, right before the program starts? How time-consuming will it be for me to go through the whole process?
It depends if we talk about pre-COVID or post-COVID world. So, quickly, in the pre-COVID world, it was 3 months on site every day. 8 hours per day, very demanding, and it's called an accelerator, not a slowing down things. So it's back, and founders usually after a few weeks start to panic, say I have time for nothing, which is understandable. So I always, we don't run a school, we don't run a university. I always consider that I'm dealing with professional business people. I'm not going to start micromanaging what they should be delegating. So very often anyway, there's nobody to delegate to because there's only 2 or 3 people in the team. So they just have to take it as it comes and manage it. During COVID time, the program has moved online. So we're going from a super rigid 3 months to a fluid as we go ongoing program. We're going from a one-to-many audience to a one-on-one to multiple one-on-one personalized program. So it's a completely different, it's a complete reinvention of what we do, applied to the 2D dimension that we're dealing with at the moment. So in that case, during this period, the time dimension is not so high, even though I encourage them to start, because our goal is to make progress as fast as possible. So if if they want to use the resources and the value that we are creating for them over a period of 6 months from home instead of 3 months on site, I'm fine by that. But we're still trying to make progress as fast as possible.
Absolutely. Alexandra, what are some of the steps you would recommend to founders to make before they actually join the program? Like, for example, network with other founders that are joining the program as well. What are some of the things the little hacks, that you would recommend to founders to look out for before they join the program or any accelerator?
Yeah, I think actually there's nothing too much to prepare. I would love to hear Cedric's opinion if he has a different one. The only thing so yes, it is important to network with other founders, but not from the perspective, not even from the ones that are right now joining the batch, but to talk with portfolio companies. This is what's important, to actually reach out to people, to reach out to portfolio companies, and to ask, to chat to ask if, what is their experience? Did they like it? Did they get any value? What was bad? Because it's always like I would sell our program to everyone because I honestly believe it's the best one, but it is more important to ask portfolio companies because they will tell you if if what I am saying makes sense, if what we are selling makes sense, if we actually, what was bad, how were the expectations versus reality, what they did not accept, receive, for example, and to evaluate that. Was the bad things, were they was it even worth it, right? Because we are not perfect. We cannot be perfect for everyone. It's impossible. There is nothing perfect in this world. So you have to evaluate if this is something that, if the outcome worth it. So I think the best start is the kind of, I cannot say that it's the best starters, but I know that, again, putting a bit of the effort in knowing, it's like knowing your audience. It's you're committing, if you're choosing the investor, you're choosing a partner for 5 to 7 years of your life, to 10 years of your life. Maybe you will die faster, then it's, then it will be a shorter commitment. But if you actually want to build if you're building a great business, you have this investor with you on board almost forever. I don't know, you'll have your kid going to school till you sell your company or something. So I would say the only thing is to talk with portfolio companies and then just to be ready. To just complement Cedric's words about the intensity, because it is intense, but accelerators are a sandbox. It's way more difficult when you go in fields after, because you will have, if you're growing a big business, the smaller you are, the smaller your problems are. The bigger you are, the bigger the problems. So if you're not able to manage the intensity that during this program, how will you manage your business after you have a growing number of customers, after you have, I don't know, legal issues, after you have your key employees leaving, after you have all the possible fuck-ups in your life, you have to be ready. So if you can go through the program with a bit of the growing intensity, then hopefully you are ready to a real life. Because in the program as well, there's a bunch of people that are helping you, and then when you're graduating, there's you're not you're on your own, but of course, our focus is also on the next batches.
I often say that a batch is a very safe business environment. You can make mistake, you can say stupid things. You are in an accelerator for a reason. We know it's because you want to learn, you want to be connected with people. So you guys at StartupYard guys and us, we create that environment which makes it extremely safe for the founder to navigate and be ready for the real world after, even though it is the real world, but it's the real world, but super fast. You're doing, we have founders who say, "Oh, we did in 3 months what we should have done in 2 years, or could have done in 2 years alone." And in fact, after our program, our founders tend to have this post-accelerator mini depression. I don't know if that happens to you as well, advice guys, but we got, they stay with us for 3 months, and then 2 weeks after they leave, we see them on Slack, because we'll talk about how we manage portfolio companies, but we stay in touch all the time. And oh, I'm so depressed. We miss StartupYard, we miss everything. So it's a great testimony of the work and the atmosphere we managed to create.
Absolutely. So I actually have kind of a follow-up question for you, Alexandra, because you were saying, you both actually said that it is intense, right? It should be an experience that should help you progress faster. So how tough, Alexandra, is the program? Are there any founders that drop out? How, what they can expect?
I have a few stories which I think we should not be proud of, but they exist, and people are super, they're all fine right now. So the stories are happy ending. But it's also similar to what Cedric said, because it's also before COVID and after COVID, the programs are a bit different. But just the cases. So we had a founder who actually got into a hospital in the third month of the program because he was stressed out. And but the problem was that he was in the program like alone as a solo, not as a solo founder. His co-founder couldn't get visa on time because he was not from the EU, and the level of and this one was also a business developer, so he actually was the one responsible way more on
customer side and
yes. And he actually so it's all fine. He got out of the hospital 3 days later, so he was just sleeping there. But that's probably a good answer on how intense it is. And that's why we also really recommend to have at least 2 co-founders in the program, that they can back each other, they can support each other. That is difficult to catch up with everything. However, the main idea remains. That's what also Cedric told. That's an accelerator, which means that you have to grow business during this time. So just probably a bit of the perspective, we have, I would say, around 4 hours per day, maybe even less, busy with the program-related things. But all program-related things are related to your business, so it's not controversial. So it's like a couple of content workshops and then individual work on your specific challenges. So it's not like just learning theory. You're implementing the theory in your business right there.
Absolutely. Did something similar, or actually I wanted to ask you, Cedric, do you agree with Alexandra that there should be at least 2 co-founders joining such a program?
We tend not to take any companies where there's only 1 founder. We made this exception probably twice. One of them is struggling, the other one is doing well. But otherwise, for the same reason, well, beyond the accelerator, I mean, running a business is super hard. Running a technical company, you need a technical person, but you probably need a business person as part of the DNA of that company. So just forget the accelerator. Just trying to start a business alone. Good luck. So in our case, we tend to say, come back when you found someone, because it's going to be just too hard anyway.
Absolutely. Did you ever, Cedric, did you have anyone drop out of the 3-month program?
The other way, I kick one out. I say that in a super serious way. The team was more like a tourist, or at least they were behaving like a tourist. Open hour, free buffet, all you can eat, where you have be on time. You have mentors coming, and like they're coming late for the mentoring. So I said, look, we obviously made a mistake. You obviously made a mistake, so it's not working. So thank you very much. Here's the door. Otherwise, we never had anybody. And I threatened another one to do the same thing to them because they were also behaving a bit. I call them the tourists, right? It's not that they don't want to be here, but they're not putting any. I don't know. They're just enjoying themselves more than anything else. But it's a reflection on us and our inability in those cases not to spot those people and still accepting them. So, it's only when you start working with someone that you know exactly how that person behaves. That's why when you get a job, you get a 3-month period. Well, our job is for 3 months, so we have taken most of the period for us. It's 3 months period.
Absolutely. And Cedric, what is kind of the aha moment in StartupYard? Like, what do you feel like the founders value the most about the program when they are, when they kind of get the epiphany, when they see that they've reached something, learned something?
The most from the feedback they all tell us is the quantity and the quality of the people we introduce them to. Because that's first of all is invaluable. To meet the CEO of a super big company that could potentially, first who's here to help you and can potentially become a customer. And also because if they do a good job, they can also start navigating through the network of the people we introduce them to. And I always say to my startup, whoever you want to talk to, we have access to that person. And we actually do. It might, for some of them, might be a bit harder, but we actually do. We have that international network, and we are in this industry for a long time. So that is the thing that they really talk about all the time. I had a founder saying, "Oh, StartupYard was saying they can reach anybody. I think they can really do that." So beyond that, of course, all the knowledge that we can talk about and the experience, but it's really your address book is exploding, and hopefully not just for fun and after work parties, but for actual business, whether it's investors or potential customers or potential new hire. But that is the core of it. And everything, because everything we do is about human. So it's those people, their knowledge, their network, their experience. That's what it's all about. It's not about the money we give. It's the money that accelerators give is totally irrelevant to the conversation with an accelerator.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Alexandra, what feedback do you receive? What's kind of the biggest value you think that that the founders get?
I think there are two things, and one should be hopefully same for any investor. So it's the same as for Cedric what mentioned. So network is one of the best things that any investor can give. In this, there's a lot of value because there we have I don't know. So we have startups that went after us in some programs like Plug and Play, Techstars, and in some like big names that on the market, and have the feedback that we were better. so we happy to introduce those startups that have like that, because it's always difficult to compare when a startup goes through one program. They still have the value, and they have basically the value that they have there, but it's very difficult to compare if you went through one program and you don't know how it works in other programs. So say that the quality that we offer is one of the best in Europe. Hopefully at some point it will be one of the best in the world. Maybe it is already, I don't know. But that's one thing. Another one, I don't know, you will be laughing or not, but we do care a lot about people as people, and one of the feedbacks that we receive is that the family feeling that we offer is there. So even if a startup doesn't succeed, if you remain human and you're not blaming everyone around you, and you remain a good person, we say startups that they will never walk alone, and we stand for these words. If they need help, we're there for them. And not only us as Wise Guys, but we're really trying to create this support from alumni companies as well.
The community, right, around.
So we have the year gatherings on the yearly basis where we go. Before COVID, we were going to some lovely countries like Spain together near the sea on the conference with a portfolio companies and with some investors and with some like close network, close to our people. Now we'll have a different format, but we're really trying to match them, because it's like already 200 portfolio companies, which means that they really can help each other. So I would say the quality of the knowledge and the personal feeling, friendship of family that they can get.
Absolutely. That sounds amazing. We have actually a question from the audience, and Alexandra, I'll start with you. The question is, what are the top 3 kind of signals you look for in early stage founders? What are kind of the top 3 values, traits, behaviors? What are the key things that you look for when choosing your startups?
I would say I need time to think. One thing that I remember immediately is that I myself paying a lot of attention to motivation and like how passionate about what they're doing. Cedric also mentioned this in the beginning because during the interviews you're asking why this, why, and you actually feel that you at least you try to feel when the startup is going beyond any difficulties or challenges that they face, and they can actually they will put all possible efforts into succeeding because they believe that this is something that they should do. But it also definitely should not be a blind belief, right? So because it should be reasonable, of course, they should understand the reality as well. Yeah, but I think if there's two more.
Absolutely. I'll let you think, Cedric. What about you? In the meantime.
You remember I was saying earlier, they need to sell it to me, and what I'm looking for is like, charismatic, smart, flamboyant, natural salespeople, even if they're technical, of course. And we do have a few in our portfolio company. When you meet them for the first call and you put the phone down and you were like, wow, these guys, wow, impressed. I want to talk to them more. It's amazing. So, I'm looking for what are the top three is the three sparkle I'll get if I get kind of a punch in the stomach, thinking, oh my God, I cannot miss or I cannot pass that one. These are the, so it's more my reaction that I'm looking for. It's not the signal on them. It's the kind of reaction they generate on me. And if they, if it doesn't mean everybody's flamboyant, but when this happens, then I get super excited, and then I really want them to have in the program, and I want to dig deeper. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking in me the sparkle that will make me think, wow, what they're doing is amazing. Because it's about passion, it's about everything, it's about ambition. We know all this, right? But ultimately, we made the decision. So that's how I approach that question, I would say.
I think I remembered the second one. Still I'm struggling with the third one, but the second will be still execution. Of course, for the early stage startup, there's no this 3 years of traction or something that you can show. But that's why the selection process also is not a one call. That's like it takes a period of time. So, for example, for us, the applications are open for at least 2 months before the selection bootcamp, or like the period of 2, best case scenario 3 months when they're open, which means that there is a period of 3 months that we can actually keep in touch, stay in touch with startups that we evaluate, and we are able to see what they do during this period of time. The bad thing, not like the bad thing, but probably it would be a big orange flag when the startup can do nothing. It's a red flag when the startup can do nothing without this, for example. Yes, we're waiting just for the funds to come, and then we'll hire all the developers, we'll do everything. We are just really lacking money. I honestly don't believe money is just a tool to use to get to your things. If this is the only thing that you're missing to be successful, I don't know. But just one example from just recent ones from this. So we right now have the application still already closed, but we're in the selection process. And there is one startup that basically I told them, okay, so you have 1 week. And they were like, yes, we really believe in our product, but no, we have no yet revenues. We're talking with customers, but we're not, we don't have yet anything. And like, okay, you have 1 week. Probably in 1 day, you can do maybe like 8 calls or something if you have an intense day. In 1 week, I'm really looking forward for you to bring me 3 LOIs, because they're also selling to corporates, which is challenging. So in 1 week, they brought me 5. And
wow.
like couple of days later, basically 2 weeks later, they had 8, and we're like, yes, we have all the signs with all the revenues, with everything. Like, yes, here we are. And I'm like, okay, fair. You can do that. Okay, let's talk further.
Absolutely. I think what you mentioned, kind of having the plan on how you're going to win, how you're going to execute, is extremely important. It might change, right? It might kind of evolve as you go, but knowing that you not only have to build, but then you have to execute is extremely, extremely important, and sell and launch and go to market. So absolutely. And I don't think we need to do all three. I think you mentioned several great traits, both of you, that that every founder should have. Actually, Cedric, you mentioned that you keep in touch with your startups as well. Alexandra mentioned this already a little bit. How do you manage your community of alumni?
So the way I like to describe it is, during the program, we are pushing them to do things, and after the program, they can pull us to do things. I'm a resource. I'm available. I don't want to say 24 hours a day, but I'm available for them. And that's the difference. We work for them. We work with them for 3 months. They know exactly where we add value, how we can add value. They know we have a vested interest in their success, because we are, investors. And maybe that's one of the big difference with accelerators who don't have equity, or who don't take equities. They don't really have a vested interest in the success of the startup. So for me, the value is the same. This intensity is less, and it's more like, whenever you need us, we are here. Of course, we're going to ask you for reports on a quarterly basis to keep, but we are here. So we all live in Slack all together, and we keep on talking all the time, constantly, and they can pull us for anything. Oh, can you check my new financial projection? Can you check my new website? What do you think of this email, this copy for this email we want to send to our users? We have a new version coming. Do you want to see the mock-ups? Whatever it is, we are there for them, and that's the difference of during and after. But it's an ongoing, relationship. And as they grow and as they raise money from bigger investors, we slowly drift away, and they invest less and less, because they're super busy being super important and super successful. But that's the way I like to describe it. A resource. They just can pick up their phone, and we are the fireman or the nurse for better.
Absolutely. And I love what you mentioned. Even an important email or recommendation or feedback is, I think it's great to have in someone to rely on. Alexandra, you mentioned that you have different events you organize for your community, or meetups. Is there anything else on how you keep in touch with your portfolio companies?
Yes, I think basically I think we're very similar to what Cedric is describing, because investor is a resource. There is no doubt, and we definitely will not push them to do stuff if they don't need us to. I mean, if they don't care about it. So that's up to them to get the most out of us, for sure. So after the program, we have very strict plan. So we have the monthly calls for 6 to 9 months after the program, with the managing director of the batch that where they were. After that, we have quarterly calls with the startups that, like, after the first year, I think. We try to make the calls still like on the monthly, or be like twice per quarter at least, but with the growing number of portfolio companies, it is becoming harder. So that's why we stick to the plan of monthly and then quarterly calls. But on top of that, this is the kind of the basis, the structure that we have to follow. But then on top of that, there are layers of additional possible help that you have. We have the community, and then basically they can ask anything they want to ask in Slack, let's say in portfolios, in Portfolio Alumni Slack. Definitely they can reach out directly between these monthly calls and us directly if they need something. They have all the access to all our team members, and so of course they can ask. We have right now 41 countries in our portfolio companies, as far as I remember. But our own Wise Guys team is also from, I need to recalculate, but I think it was 12 countries something. So we actually trying to meet them in person when we are traveling to the cities where they are. For example, we are trying to get this. So if we are somewhere, let's say we do have quite many companies in Turkey, but when we are traveling there before COVID times, we were always letting them know and organize a dinner together when something. And yes, and then the main ones, probably one of the most important for us, is this yearly gathering with all the portfolio, which is a large event, like a conference event plus networking.
That's amazing. I have a final question for both of you, and it would be before we actually move on to the Q&A session. So I'll just quickly remind to everyone that once we end this session, you will be back in the social lounge where you can sit down to a table. Each table has a name on them, and that's the speaker and the company that will be there. And you can ask them any questions you want. I'll be kind of in between the tables, seeing what's happening. So the final question, Cedric, I'll start with you. What advice would you give to founders when they are on the mission to choose their accelerator, their investor? What would be your recommendation to them?
Apply to StartupYard. I always say it costs you nothing, and it can change the life of your business. And just to see if you are able to answer the questions of our application will maybe help you look at what you're doing from a different angle. So, apply to StartupYard guys at the same time, and learn. Our selection process is not a tribunal. It is an environment where we try to help and try to go into what they're thinking, and we actually give them direction while we help them selecting them. This is what Alexandra was saying before. So, and if you have zero connection in the industry, you don't know anybody, the accelerators are the perfect setup or setting for you. So don't hesitate. If I was to start a company today, and there was a certain vertical, and there was a vertical for an accelerator for that sector, I would probably apply, because I know that they have put together what I need in a very short period of time, with those warm introduction, and they're literally bringing you people on the plate for you to interact with. So that would be my recommendation. But before, check that you're applying to the right accelerator. So just like Wise Guy, we're doing B2B. In our case, we focus on AI and every advanced technology. So don't come with us with something different, because you would waste your time. But otherwise, put everything on your side to be successful, and going through an accelerator, being validated by an accelerator, being introduced to investors by an accelerator is the best that can happen to you. That's very simple, very, very simple. There's no discussion. Move on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Alexandra. To you, what would be a recommendation to the founders out there?
I should not say apply anymore, because I cannot say that. But regarding the application, we actually have them closed. We have the selection bootcamp for B2B SaaS batch already happening today. We have the final 3 days for sustainability batch. So if you can apply during 3 days, then there is a chance for sustainability. And
there will be some motivation, definitely, if they manage in 3 days.
And we'll have cybersecurity also. The applications will be open soon, and we'll have the online program for that. The online pre-acceleration program first. So, which is different. So there's also these two things that make sense. But that was like the promotion. But what I would actually advise to do is we have this one of my favorite stickers for the laptops. It says, "Build your business for customers, not for investors," because I think I mean, it's amazing how many startups actually doing this mistake of targeting fundraising instead of targeting to build a great business. If there is a great business, all the possible money will come to you. So investors should never be a target. The target should be to build a company.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, we have the same. We say you're not in the business of raising money.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you both so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I've learned a lot, so I definitely hope that our attendees have as well. So again, I'll see everyone in the networking lounge. Thank you so much, Alexandra, for your time. Thank you, Cedric. It was great to have you here. I'm happy we got to kick off our funding talk series with the two of you. And yeah, I'll see you in the networking lounge along with your colleagues and along with our attendees.
All right. Thanks to you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.